So I've used the S22 and the Ultra for over a month now, and I've got some interesting stuff to share with you. For example, I've used the base S22 without any protective case or film through the whole month, and not even a single scratch in the front or the back of the phone, not even micro scratches. And the S22 Plus and the Ultra, they're made of the same materials, so this applies to them as well. Okay, next I want to discuss battery life, and let's start with the Galaxy S22 because this is our worst case scenario given its small battery capacity. So I took screenshots of about 2 weeks worth of battery discharge from 100 to 0%, and what I gathered is that on an average, I was getting about 3.5 hours of screen on time, but with an average screen off time of about 12 to 13 hours on the Galaxy S22. Now I know what you're thinking, 3.5 hours is quite low, but that's also because I'm not using my phone for 12 to 13 hours, which is my screen off time. So to be fair, if I traded some of my screen off time, I may actually get about 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time, which is not bad considering how feature-packed, powerful, compact, and thin the phone is. Now do note, I am using a third-party launcher. I've got 4 email accounts on sync simultaneously. I run multiple messengers like Slack, a lot of WhatsApp and Telegram, and Instagram DMs. Let me also add, I did not use dark mode, which in hindsight would have saved me some battery. My Bluetooth location Wi-Fi was always on, and I did set my refresh rate all the way up to 120 Hz. But on the other end, the Galaxy S22 Ultra, that delivered close to 6 to 7 hours of screen on time. Next, Samsung talked quite a lot about the display at the S22 launch, and I can see why. It's insanely good, and you realize it when you step outside in the sun, because I can guarantee you wouldn't have seen a screen look so good outdoors. It's the brightest screen I've ever seen without losing accuracy. The Vision Booster algo that they talked about at their launch, it's on point, and they were not kidding about this. Of course, all the other things are great too. The colors, the sharpness, the super smooth 120 Hz refresh rate. I've not seen a better display. I've been running the S22 Ultra on WQHD Plus maximum resolution, and it looks so stunning. And whether you're watching movies or playing games, it's just the best display experience I've ever had on any smartphone to date, and I don't think I can exaggerate enough. Now, one thing that people underestimate a lot are the ergonomics of the phone. How does it feel to hold them in your hand and, keep in your pocket or store in your bag? That's the one thing I really want to talk about. The base S22, it's beyond perfect. And it's not just the size, it's the thickness and the weight that factor in to give that in-hand experience. It's thin and it's very light. And to give you a perspective, the iPhone 13 Pro, which is the same size as the base S22, is 25% heavier. So you get the idea. The ease with which you can store it in your pocket, move around, bend, or lift your leg, it's really convenient. And most importantly, in most cases, I can use it with just one hand so conveniently, and that's the one thing that's really stopping me from switching over to the Galaxy S22 Ultra from the base S22. And a lot of times I would think I'm missing my phone because it just wouldn't feel as much in my pocket like the previous bigger phones did. The S22 Ultra, however, is at the other end of the spectrum. It's significantly larger, has a much stronger presence in your pocket, and it's not a single-hand device in any way. But if you're looking for a big screen experience, this is the best solution we have, at least for now. Additionally, you get the S Pen functionality and a much bigger battery, so those are definitely bonuses with the S22 Ultra's size. Now, in terms of performance, this is top-notch, and not just on paper, but also actual experience. The phone has never felt slow to me in all these days that I've been using. And whether it was the base S22 with 8 gigs of RAM or the Ultra with 12 gigs of RAM, it really did not make much of a difference to me on a daily basis. They were both blazingly fast. I loved it. Be it everyday app use, firing up the camera and shooting 4K videos, video editing in apps and publishing reels or YouTube shorts, everything was a breeze. Now, there was some stuff about Samsung limiting the performance of its phone in the name of optimizing game performance, but Samsung with a recent update has actually changed that. So now when you fire up a game, it's going to use and leverage the full power of the chipset until it starts to get hot. And that's when the optimization would kick in, which I think is fair. But having said all of that, there are occasions when the phones get hot. So when I'm using the camera and it's been about a minute and a half or 2 minutes, it starts to get hot. Or when I'm charging, sometimes it does feel a little hot. But you know what? They cool down pretty fast as well. So it doesn't bother me personally a lot because I don't use camera too much. But if you find yourself in that zone of using the camera a lot for a long time, it's gonna be uncomfortable. So just something to think about. Okay, now let's switch to cameras and photography. And Samsung made this huge deal about low light photography called nightography in its Galaxy S22 launch. And here are some samples that I took in low light. What I observed is that when taking pictures in the dark, it depends on how much ambient lighting is present. If there is good ambient lighting at a distance, the night photos come out really well. Just look at these, for example. I've not used night mode. This is all on auto and I did not make any changes or applied any filter. This is straight out of the camera. And by the way, feel free to download these pictures from the link in the description and check out these pictures for yourself. However, if you do find yourself struggling to get the right photo in low light conditions, you could just move the camera mode to night mode, and that would definitely help in reducing the noise. I did not do it just to demonstrate, but yeah, feel free to use that mode. Now, Samsung also talked about stereo depth mapping that really improves its portrait photos. And for sure, edge detection is impeccable. I mean, I can barely point out any errors. They've really improved it and it detects hair and fur very well now. It works beautifully even with your pets, and this applies to both the front and the back cameras. The other thing that the Galaxy S22 phones have been able to convince me to do is to use more of telephoto lenses, which for the longest time I thought were not as useful or even good in terms of quality, but with the S22 phones, really good. So here's a picture I shot using the 3x telephoto lens, and this is using the 10x telephoto lens from the same spot. Here's a side-by-side comparison. The left side is using the 3x telephoto lens and on the right, it's the 10x. And you know, I'm convinced that to a point that I don't even wish to step closer to an object to take a photo. I can just use a telephoto lens. And this actually blew my mind. Also, I've been using the Expert RAW app to take 14-bit RAW photos using these phones and then editing them in Lightroom to really achieve some great results. Just look at these before and afters. I mean, this was all done with very minimal effort. Just get the right shot, shoot with Expert RAW app or the Pro Photo mode in your camera and use Lightroom. And just some presets can get you this look. And lastly, here's some 4K footage that I shot specifically to demonstrate shooting in difficult low lighting conditions. Now, Samsung does talk about how they've improved OIS and introduced VDIS to ensure more stability while shooting videos, which helps improve low light video recording. But to be honest, the phone does struggle when there's little to no light. You can see the noise in the darker parts of the video. However, this is much better than what we saw in the previous generation and definitely an improvement. Also, all the lenses can shoot in 4K. This particular footage is using the 10x telephoto lens, and then I sort of zoom out and this is using the 3x telephoto lens. And you know, switching between the lenses is pretty easy and the quality is actually a little better than what I had expected, to be honest. But yeah, there's if I go back all the way to 1x, you can feel the difference. And that's pretty much it, guys. You know, these were some meaty thoughts that I really had on my everyday use with the Galaxy S22 and the Ultra. But I have to say, they are indeed the best Android phones that I've ever used thus far. I mean, they are as good in everyday life as they are on paper, and I'm not denying that. Now, one question you might have is, should you get the S22, the Plus, or the Ultra? It's a really simple decision to make. So let me help you. If you're not going to use the S Pen, and your smartphone use is not as crazy or wild, and if you're not someone who's going to be on the road a lot commuting, just get yourself the base S22 and you can thank me later. But if your smartphone use is heavy and you're not going to use the S Pen, get the S22 Plus. But if you want it all, the big display experience, the S Pen, advanced camera optics, especially with that 10x optical zoom, get the Galaxy S22 Ultra. Let me reemphasize one thing again though. In my head, I'm an S22 Ultra user, but I've been using the base S22 as my daily driver, and just the size, the convenience of using it, and the overall usability really has me hooked, and I'm finding it very difficult to move over to the Galaxy S22 Ultra. I'm not saying I won't, I'm just finding it difficult to give this up. Just something to keep in mind. Alright, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. And as always, if this video was helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification icon, mark all. Really goes a long way in supporting me. Alright, see you guys in the next one.